Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Thrive Talks with Anthony. Today we're going to have a type of conversation. For those that are new to the channel, we make mental health conversation content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to your well-being. However, in this conversation, we're going to be talking about time management that works, getting more done without burning out. I want to take in consideration to be able to have practical time management strategies to be able to boost that productivity in addition to protecting that mental health, right? So we're able to achieve more in addition to without sacrificing your well-being, right? So I wanted to be able to have that balance so we're not tore up from the flow up. So stick with me and we're going to be able to navigate throughout this video, right? So our introduction, we're going to be talking about the balance between productivity and burnout, right? So do you ever feel as if that there's never enough time in a day, even if you're, constantly busy, you're working towards something, right? So the truth is being productive doesn't mean that you're going to get more done. It means that, you got to really take in consideration that what really matters to you, right? So we got to have that management, that time management. We got to really know our needs. We really got to know how to really navigate through this without, like I said, avoiding that burnout, right? So in regards to our first segment, we're going to be talking about why time feels like it's slipping away, right? So first key concept, the myth of busyness, right? So being busy isn't being productive, right? So we got to take in consideration, we got to slow down. And just because you're always, in the mix of something, we're always keeping our hands in something, we're always, occupying our time, doesn't mean that you're being productive. We got to take that in consideration. Next is going to be cognitive overload, right? So your brain only can juggle so much, right? So we got to be able to take in consideration, like I said, to slow down, recognize what's important, and navigate throughout those things, right? In addition to that too is distraction culture, right? So notifications, multitasking, in addition to digital fatigue eating up our time it's always something that's coming at us, right? So we got to really take that into consideration in regards to, like I said, the overload and, like I said, the culture that we're in when it comes to our distractions. Our reflection prompt I really want to take consideration before we dive really in depth is, are you spending your time and you're investing it? Like, where is your time really, where are you allocating that to, right? What is stealing most of your focus, right? So there's so many things that are coming at us in regards to, how we're navigating through. But in regards to our next segment, let's talk about time management and really, where does it start in regards to, with that clarity? Right. So in regards to yourself, think about yourself right now. Think about your personal needs. Think about you, right? Not someone else. I know you're doing a lot of things, etc. But you got to think about yourself, right? So what about, you once again? So define your priorities, right? So not everything is urgent or important. You really got to understand that, like look on your plate and just, you got to navigate through when it comes to your priorities, right? So energy is more powerful than that in regards to understanding where your hours are going, right? So track your energy levels throughout the day. Right. So for those people out there, like I said, they're always pushing, they're sipping coffee, they're doing all these things to kind of keep themselves energized, trying to keep yourself in the midst of, being productive. You got to slow down. It's about really just understanding where your level's at, where you're at, what's a priority on your plate, right? And what's really important, and then moving towards, that purpose. Next, in regards to our concept, is going to be know your why, right? So purpose helps us choose what to do and what not to do. You heard? So a pro tip is going to be able to, the priority matrix. So urgent versus important, right? There is a difference. So there's things that you need to do now that's more, essential. And there's other first, like what's important, right? So there is a difference. So I want us to take that into consideration. Next segment we're going to be able to talk about is tools and techniques, right? That actually work, right? So we have these things that are backed by science. So we have time blocking, right? So plan your day with focus chunks, right? So just kind of allocate that, break it down, make it more manageable for you. So things are actually going to be more consistent in that sense. Next is going to be the task batching, right? So groups similar tasks and to avoid context switching, right? So keep things that are more similar, that's more, regulated towards whatever your needs are, so that you're going to be able to, like I said, keep that consistency. And then we also have the Pomodoro technique, which is 25 minutes to be able to work, when you're able to just kind of focus on that task, and then you're able to have a 5-minute break, and you're able to kind of repeat. So once again, 25 minutes, and then you have that 5-minute break. And I really want us to take into consideration, because this is something that I kind of do that helps me kind of be more productive in that sense and get things that are more meaningful for me, right? So you really want to take into consideration that breaks are essential, so we're not frying our brain, we're not just having that overload with breaks, and we need to slow down and have a little resting moment, which is fine. Next is going to be the 2-minute rule. So if it takes less than 2 minutes, you can do it now, you can get to it, you don't got to even procrastinate. So look at things that are going to be quick, and you can just knock those things out as well. Also too, when we're having a mindset, when we're trying to navigate through, this, and overall, we got to have a positive mindset so we're able to navigate through any moments of, struggle or difficulty, right? So mindset shift is your calendar shouldn't reflect your values. It's not just your obligations, right? So you got to understand that your calendar, like I said, should be able to reflect your values. What are things that are meaningful to you? What are priorities to you? What's important to you? And you're able to navigate that, through. Next segment, we're going to be talking about protecting your focus, right? So say no more often if necessary, right? So you got to be able to protect your peace and protect your time by setting those boundaries, right? So next is going to be manage distractions, right? So turn off those notifications, use those focus apps so you're able to, like I said, get things done, right? So if you're trying to be more productive, you're trying to really, be serious about it and be, you got to be focused. You got to be able to turn off those notifications and those distractions. You got to know when to turn the phone off. Do whatever you got to do to get whatever your goals, whatever your things that you need to get done, right? Next is going to be single tasking, right? So one thing at a time. You got to really be able to recognize, like I said earlier, is that our brain is trying to really just do what it can. And it's best for us, like I said, to focus at one thing at a time. We're able to reduce that stress as well. A moment for us to kind of just take a reflection prompt is, what boundary could you set this week to be able to protect, your focus time, right? We got friends, we got family, we got work responsibilities, we have different things, we have all these events and stuff coming at us, right? So, but what time can we really be able to allocate towards ourselves? I really want to take consideration of solitude. It allows us to reflect. It allows us to really understand where we're at. It allows us to really cultivate that peace of mind, reduce that stress, and really to, like I said, what are we doing? Are we on our purpose? Like, where are we at right now? How do we feel? Right, so I really want us to understand, like, what boundaries can we really set within our week to be able to have, like I said, and protect that time for ourselves. In order for us to, like I said, provide that phenomenal service for others, help other people out, we really got to be able to take consideration for ourselves. You got to put yourself first. You heard? Next segment, we're going to be able to talk about avoiding burnout while staying productive, right? So, like I said, I don't want us to be taught from the floor. We're doing phenomenal service at work. We're waking up early, right? We're doing what we got to do out there, but we got to take consideration to be able to avoid that burnout by, like really having, this understanding and boundary setting, right? So first key concept we're going to be able to talk about is built-in rest, right? So really got to take into consideration that breaks are part of productivity, not a reward for it, right? So we got to rest. There's no amount of money out there that's going to sit there and give you the wellness that you can. You can also have all the money in the world, like my papa said, right? And you in that hospital, you can't spend none of it. Can't do none of it. You can't travel with none of it. You can't be on that jet. You can't do all those cool things that you want to do, right? So you really got to take consideration that rest. You got to let our bodies to heal. You got to let the mind do what it got to do, and your brain be able to kind of just rest. Right? So take that in consideration. Next is going to be buffer time, right? So schedule white space between, managing or those tasks, right? We got to have buffer time. We got to be able to have to, like I said, those breaks and those little moments for that, right? Next is going to be, track your progress. Like I said, it's really important for us to journal, really write things down so we're able to really see what's really going on and where we're heading, right? So track your progress, right? So not just your activity, right? So when it comes to those wins, you really want to be able to come, from just focusing on those outcomes and just being busy, but just focusing on progress, focus on the growth, focus on the fact that we didn't even have these boundaries. We didn't really doing what we had to do, but now we're doing it. We're being more consistent. We're seeing the practice. We're really writing these things down, and we're starting to see the changes, and we're avoiding that burnout, right? So I really want to take out, like I said, with this positive mindset that we have, and we're trying to navigate through, we're making the changes, we're doing the best that we can, we're putting ourselves first, right? Is really just be able to reset and recognize that, rest is productive, and that helps us avoid that burnout. It helps our brain be able to perform at its best. So, like I said, we're able to take into consideration that resting, we're able to celebrate, we're able to, get the time back in regards to just, resting and kind of bed rotting if necessary, like just, being in an area where we're able to, like I said, this is going to be able to help us be more productive too, because we're able to wake up and, look good, look sharp, and be able to do, like I said, what we need to do, right? So just wrapping up this video, like I said, time is a tool, right? We just have to be able to use it wisely, right? So, you don't need to be able to have more hours in a day. You don't need to be able to feel that you got to keep grinding. You just have to be more intentional about what you're doing and what you're doing with your time, right? So your values, protecting your focus, and giving yourself the time to be able to breathe and be able to kind of, like I said, do that reset, get that rest is going to help you be able to be more productive and have a better wellness and mental health for you. So I really want to take consideration that you're not a machine, you ain't a robot, right? You are a human, you are a human being, and you got to be able to, like I said, put yourself first and recognize that time is here for all of us, but it's about the intentionality behind it and what we do with it, right? So if you found this video was beneficial, give it a thumbs up, share if possible, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy. Stay blessed.